Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you're all doing fine amidst this pandemic. And thank you, everybody, for joining this presentation. First of all, thank you very much to Skill-Lync for providing this opportunity. And especially thank you to my mentor, Mr. Soundar Rajan, for guiding me throughout this course. So myself, Ishwar, and for my independent project, I have decided to model the iconic car Shelby AC Cobra 427, the 1965 two-door Roadster. So basically, we all know that CAD practices have become very, very versatile and widespread, and have been extending to many domains, even like biomedical research. Thus, these have become an essential quality for any design engineer, and probably the reason why we all of us are taking up this design course. So the idea is to prepare a virtual model of the car, mainly to capture the maximum aesthetic details to obtain an exhibit ready model. So the model has been divided into sub-assemblies and subsequent components, employing a tear-down approach. And the project also uses an iterative methodology called as Shai-Haley process, technically, wherein repetitive design changes are made in terms of geometry and dimensions until the end result is obtained. To give you a little introduction about the automobile trivia, this Shelby AC Cobra is an iconic sports car which was introduced by the collaboration of Ford and a British automaker called Auto Carriers back in 1962. It came up as a rival for Chevrolet Corvette, which was one of the top sports car at that time, and AC had a sports model called Ace, which was redesigned by Carroll Shelby, who was a American automotive designer and a popular race car driver, by shoving a Ford's 7-liter FE V8 motor inside the handcrafted, redesigned Ace body, and became the popular two-door Roadster. If these Actually, this body style can also be traced back to 1948, where the Italian car maker Ferrari came up with their 166 Barchetta model. So this the original 427 was in production from 1965 to 1967, although the Shelby Cobra in general was in production from 1963 to 67. So the project motivation was mainly because the hand-laid smooth vehicle body, unlike today's cars, crisp and many surfaces, calls for admirable surface modeling skills to be employed. And this car not only was produced by Ford, but it has undergone many refurbishments and customizations by independent independent restorers and enthusiasts, and therefore it has the flexibility to design many custom components, which gave me a very high motivation for me to design my own subcomponents for this vehicle. And also this was a good opportunity to incorporate different component motions while assembly to make the project more interesting. So as recommended while solving aptitude problems, it is said that the problem should be broken down into pieces of information. This is exactly how the model teardown approach works. So basically, the model has been divided into 3 sub-assemblies and further components, as the branched diagram shows. Uh, the subcom Each of the component and the sub-assembly are finished via iterative design approach uh, by continually making suitable changes until the final result is reached. So for symmetry components, as very popular, the mid-plane mirror approach is used, and the final assembly is composed by bringing together the 3 sub-assemblies as mentioned: rolling chassis, exterior body, and the cockpit together into the graphics window in as a flexible entity, so that the working mates can also be imported. So basically, this is the reference blueprint that I found. This is a 1962 model, actually, the first model, the first car that was unveiled. So this blueprint actually helped me to have a starting point to create the primary surface of the vehicle, because there were no specific dimensions available for this vehicle. besides the overall track width, wheelbase, height, and width. So I set these blueprint diagrams in appropriate planes according to the original vehicle dimensions, and started creating the primary surface, which in turn became the reference for me to create the chassis and the cockpit. So instead of making big paragraphs, I would let some images do the talk for me. So this is the first subassembly, which is the rolling chassis. So a note here: every design is of my own. There are no specific references except a few Google images. This chassis, again, this frame in particular is not necessarily the frame for the Shelby Cobra original. This is my own design, just to incorporate all the features that I wanted to do to this project. So the frame basically consists of the engine mounts to mimic the rear end, and as well as some drive shaft and a lower control arms. Coming to the engine part, this is the 427, which is basically for the 7-liter displacement of the engine. This is an cosmetic model, which means this does not have any internal components, no camshaft, no crankshaft, nothing, just the exterior body capturing all the aesthetic details of the engine. But again, the subcomponents have been modeled within the same part as intake manifold and everything else, the oil sump, the exhaust manifold, as it could be seen. For the tires of this vehicle, I wanted to keep this model as a touring kind of vehicle. So I decided to go with the old school spoked wheels, which would give a really nice look, with ribbed radial tires, which would be great for cruising in general. So I had to make two variants of the tires. The front only has an addition of a C channel, which gave me the flexibility to mimic an upright, so I could give the model some steering action. So these all components were brought together to create an subassembly, which is the rolling chassis. Now coming to the next subassembly, the exterior body. So this is where my starting of the project occurred. So the top left side surface, as you can see, is the primary surface, which I was mentioning during the model teardown slide. So this was the starting point for me. And the other panels that you are seeing, the hood, the trunk, and the door, everything was created with the split command once I created the main surface. So once I had a few surfaces ready for me, I used those dimensions as volumes to create and fit in the other components like the engine. For the engine, I used this engine bay volume. So I had some dimensions to work with, like the overall height, width, and length within which I had to fit the engine. And subsequently, I designed my own dimensions. I decided my own dimensions, and then came up with the models. So initially, I had decided to do this exhaust pipe along with the primary surface, but it was becoming a little bit cumbersome. So I made it as a separate component to attach with the body at a later stage. So when combined, all these things, it creates the exterior body, which can be put over the rolling chassis. Now the third and last sub assembly is the cabin. Again, the primary surface, if I can go back, the primary surface, you can see that the projected curves for the cabin made the boundaries for me to create the cabin. So this is mainly composed of three components, mainly the instrument panel, the seats. I decided to go with some luxury seats, as the model was intended to be a touring style. I still incorporated some racy bucket style features like the side and shoulder support. For the steering wheels, since this is a 1960s, definitely I had to take the retro style steering wheel, the dished style with the iconic Cobra symbol, and these were all assembled together to create the cabin. I also added some decals to make it more interesting. So to create the final model, these were the three sub-assemblies brought into a new graphic window in the assembly file as flexible entities. It is essential to bring these entities as flexible, then only because then only we will be able to incorporate all the mates. Otherwise, these three sub-assemblies, all the mates that you give would simply be considered as rigid, and you won't be able to move a thing in the final assembly. At this point, I think it would be great that I would take off from the presentation and move into the SolidWorks window to actually show you the model and how it works. So I hope the SolidWorks screen is visible. So here it is, the final model of my project, the Shelby AC Cobra 427. So this is the final model. You can see. If I have to show you the chassis, I'll just hide these sub-assemblies. I'll just hide the cockpit and as well as the exterior body. I apologize for the slow system. So this is basically the chassis that has been created. You can see the engine has been mounted at the place where it is required. And if I zoom in a little bit close, I could easily show you how the steering action has been made. This is almost similar to how a real automobile works, but it's just that I minimized the details. It's in a very simplified manner. This is the lower control arm, which is actually fixed to the frame with a vertical stud that mimics the kingpin axis, or also sometimes called as steering axis. This is the C channel that serves the purpose for the upright. So this becomes the pivot point for the tire to turn. You could probably see that the assembly is currently underdefined. That is because I deliberately suppress some of the mates just for demonstration purposes. It's basically the rotation of the rear tires, nothing else. The rear tires can be rotated. Next, I'd like to bring in the exterior body, which is mainly the aesthetic part of the project. So I had to take a very long time to get the curves right again, because unlike modern cars, which have very, very crisp edges, although numerous surfaces, but no tangency with the surface, this model has many surfaces which has good curvature and blends in various directions. So I had to take a lot of time to get the surfaces right, to get the blend right, especially the front clip of this vehicle, because in original this whole part from the would be cut from the windshield. The front part would be handmade completely, and the rear would be made completely separate. So this is the model. You can see that I have tried to include as close details as possible, including the Cobra symbol, the emblem at the front. So to give you how my mates work in this model. So this is the hood, so it can be opened. To facilitate this opening, this kind of as a kind of pivot point to give a rotation axis, and that I made through a small hinge, which would technically be the way how it is done in the car also. So this is the small hinge that allows me to give some rotation, some limit angle made to this fender. Similarly, the trunk, I just added a spare wheel for aesthetic purpose for better looks. At this point, I'd like to bring in the cabin portion just to show you the decals and the details that I've tried to work on as close as possible. The door, both the doors open in a very similar way. And if I zoom in closer, you can see the details. I've added a few retro style gauges and some modern touches like the infotainment system and the engine start stop button, which was never there in the Shelby, but just to make it more interesting. For details, I added these cup holders, the knobs, gear lever, and definitely the handbrake. So that would be the SolidWorks model for demonstration. Now getting back to the presentation. So to conclude, the project successfully completed by making the Shelby AC Cobra with all the exterior, with utmost exterior details as could be captured, and a model ready to serve as for common a concept demonstration. uh, in actual, the how I approach the project also resembles in essence how the vehicle was actually produced. For example, the chassis would be created in a separate line and the body would be created in a separate line in parallel, consequently, and would be brought in together and married in a single line, and then the interior would be fitted afterwards. So for references, I had to work quite blind with this, except for the blueprint reference that I mentioned in the previous slide. Besides that, I only referred to some Google images to give me an idea of how the curvature bends by visualizing the light reflections from the images, and just to get how the final engine has to look, I referred to some images. You can see one of the image in the hyperlink. And of course, what are all the essentialities in the interior? Again, I mentioned in the reference some of the decals that I've used for this project, and mostly I've made my own quick sketches, although it's not great, but because these are like 2 to 3 minute sketches just to put down on paper what I had in my head. And so I had a starting point to work with. So these were, I just added these to just show that how I approach this project. So the future scope, this project can easily be modified and made more dynamic by adding a few more details. For example, I could given more time, I could add a control arm and make a dynamic shock to give more motion to the front wheels, like the rebound and jounce motion. The steering, as you have seen, I had to click on the tires to move it. We could probably make some rack and pinion linkages and connect it with the steering wheel. So when the steering wheel is turned, the wheels can be moved, which would make it more realistic. These kind of project can easily be imported into 3D printer softwares, where it would be turned into layers, and then using an FDM printer, which is quite easily available these days, can be used to make demos for concept demonstration, or for making small models to be used as exhibits, or these days popular as die cast toys also. And these kind of projects and design, especially design projects, can very well help to promote uh, major design thinking abilities and approach. Like I told, one of the most popular is the tear down approach in reverse engineering, where even companies use it to benchmark their competitors models, and other practices like the iterative design, wherein you have no references but you have to work with what you have. So you have to refer back to what you have created by your own and make changes until you uh, get the desired results. I apologize for that. And with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you all for spending your time, valuable time and patience for this project. And I hope I was able to give you some good ideas and was able to inspire you to create more interesting projects. And I'm very well looking forward to attend to all those. Thank you very much again to Skill-Lync for providing me with this opportunity. And I would really like to have the audience suggestions and reviews, as well as the Skill-Lync members reviews for this project, so I could keep on improving myself and keep on working more on more interesting projects. Thank you so much, everybody.